I'll put this down.
No, it's all good. Nobody can hear it, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't make much of a difference anyway. Just dicking around.
We are live. How's everyone doing? 3 people in already. I clickbaited it with Summer of Road continues, because really, it does. There's a ton of road product out right now, man. This is kind of it's a fun time, but it's also like anxiety riddled. Oh, by the way, did you watch my last video, Dylan?
Define last video.
The Road Streamer X.
That
was the one where I did all the new graphics.
I didn't, but I made it halfway. I actually looked up the product.
Oh wow! Look at you.
I actually was like, okay, what the hell even is this thing? Because I mean, people are freaking out about it. So
it's awesome. I'm actually using it right now. It's fantastic.
A nice little combination of things. It looks like it's just a nice little package.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, like the thing that comes to mind is usually in products like, I mean, it's Rode, so you know it's at least going to be half decent.
Yeah, they've had bugs in the software before. This one,
but it looks like, I think the more interesting thing is it looks like it sort of marks the era of a new flagship lineup. Just judging from how their website is positioned around it, it's like the Streamer series, and then you click it, and it's straight the Streamer X is the only thing that's there. It's like, okay, well, clearly there's got to be more shit coming.
All right, so you're doubled up. 1 second. Let me.
I'm a doobly-doop, 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 doobly-doop. Check it a 1, check 7-8, check 7-8.
So my mic should be. So my mic. Let me hear, guys. I've got us both on the same just for a second here. Microphone,
check 1,
Streamer X main. So that's Streamer X main. Okay. You know what I need to do?
What do you need to do?
Road Central.
Isn't the most well-managed live stream, guys? Isn't this just the most awesome?
Yeah,
we're so organized.
So organized,
we're so
dude.
Professional too. Just amazingly professional.
I love it.
That's real. I love real. Real shit's the best.
It's that okay, so you take that off. Now, what happens? I'm gonna put this over here. Stay with me, folks.
Okay, at least we're not falling behind on comments like we usually do. That does not mean post more oh my god.
Everyone's getting in it. Better? Yeah, I wonder if we can talk at the same time though. Because we're going through obviously Discord.
I mean, I could just put headphones on and not be a lazy douche. I'm also like, oh, there we go. I was gonna say I was off to the side for a second. It's because I had my head turned.
See,
I'll just put headphones on. Fuck.
Yeah, I'll put the headphones on. There you go. Beards, lots of echo. We got that. Hopefully that's figured out. I'm gonna have to figure out more of this. The last time I did a live stream with the Streamer X, I did it myself, and that thing's still rocking, eh? Still getting like I think it's 400 views a day, which is awesome.
That's amazing.
Benjamin, what are you guys chatting about? Just the general Friday live stream. If you're never been here, we basically talk to you guys. So it's not necessarily what we're talking about. We kind of have a very general outline, but we like to talk with the audience and kind of see where you guys are at. If you guys have any questions, that kind of stuff. So it's lots of fun to hang out.
If anybody wants advice, it's almost like one of those radio shows, you know, where they call in for dating advice.
Yeah.
Except we do it for audio advice. That's basically what we do.
I guess we could do dating advice too.
Yeah, we could. I mean, we've gone through a lot of interesting conversations on this stream.
We're both in long-term relationships. We could do it. Walter says, I wish we got the Streamer Duo instead of the X and the Duo separately. Yeah, I think, and I've heard a lot of people like that. That's the one thing they're like, oh, I want multi-camera. But Rode has to release like this is kind of, I don't think this is the only streamer product they're going to release, but they still have to do a proof of concept without going all in, right? Putting all their R&D into a switcher and all this stuff. So
that's it. Like their little fella that they've kind of released. It's good. It's a good like market tester. Yeah, and I think that's what it is. It's like, okay, what kind of a market is for this? And well, I mean, certainly in terms of attention and culture, immediate groundbreaker for most people. So I would bet that we're going to see some more and some bigger things in this line of products.
Well, and the amount of people that stream with a single camera, it's like most game streamers have one camera, right? So
Yep.
you only need the one camera in. I don't even have a second camera to stream with. And I've got a YouTube channel. Like I'm getting the second channel.
I was going to say, I'm not going to lie. It would be nice to have a little camera switcher on that. That'd be cool. I'd dig that.
It would be, but then it's like, will this thing sell? So will one sell? Is there a market for multi-camera setups? And I think this is all part of the research and development, because this is
I was
literally
say,
part
the thing that I look at it is I don't think, because the problem is on a technical level, there aren't a lot of easy solutions for that. There are a few, but there aren't many. And I think there are enough gamers making a ton of money from doing that.
Yeah.
That I think that there are a lot of gamers that would be, especially gamer streamers, that would be up for just upping their game to that next level and getting like dynamic camera angles and shit.
Yeah. Okay. Andrew still wants me to hammer a U87. When the channel gets big enough, I promise I will. You can literally write that down, I swear. Mike wants to know, where you guys located? What is the price for the Caster Duo in your countries? We're in Canada. I haven't looked at the Canadian rubles price, but it's $4.99 US. So whatever that translates to, probably $5.99 US. About 2/3 the price of the Rodecaster Pro, which I know a lot of people are upset, but it actually kind of makes sense for what it is. It still does everything more than anyone else, right? It just, they lop 2 channels off. I have yet to get hands-on with the Rodecaster Duo. I don't think the release time, they're really spacing out the releases for this stuff, so
no
stay tuned. Well, I don't blame them. I'm glad they didn't drop everything all at once, because it would literally, like, one of the things I did want to talk about is going down to 1 video a week for the next little bit, because when I asked you if you saw the Streamer X video, is because I'm incorporating new products, new what are they called, like transitions and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
But it's a brutal workflow. I am slowed right down. Like, I was getting a video done, I would be able to write, shoot, and edit a video in 6 hours. Now we're talking more like 2 days to do a video. Yeah. So I'm pulling back on the midweek videos just for a little bit while I get my workflow back up. But it's when you get all these new assets, that's the word I was looking for. All these new assets, is video assets. You kind of have to play around with them to see which ones work best for your flow, which ones look best. So the video coming up on the pod mic, I've got some slightly different assets that I'm using for it. And I'm always willing to take feedback on what people think. Nobody mentioned anything though. Only Sean Webb was the only one that was like, notice that. Nice touch. But I'm wondering, I'm waiting, like, does everyone just expect that that's the natural progression of the channel? Maybe. I don't know. I think it looks sexy as fuck. So
yeah, I dig it. You sent me some samples with your new assets there, and yeah, I mean, they all looked good. Again, they all looked good, but it's just, if you have to pick one, I mean, we talked about that, but yeah, some cool shit. Some cool shit.
Dan, remember when the WAN show took months to get sorted? Yeah. They've got a much better setup than us, though.
Yeah,
they've got a lot more moving parts than we do.
Speaking of which, you saw the announcement this past little.
Oh, that he's stepping down as CEO.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, I feel like that's natural, especially in founders of a company. It's like, look, I'm a visionary. I'm not a people manager. Like, this is getting crazy.
Well, CEO is manager of everything, right? Like, there's no
they're manager, essentially. CEOs are manager of business execution, which literally encompasses everything. Hence, chief executive officer.
If I ever step down as CEO, man, you got this, okay? You're CEO, okay?
Great, cool.
I know. Think of all the tens of dollars.
I'm basically your CTO at this point.
What's that?
Chief Technology Officer.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that. What microphone would you date? Sleek.
Ooh.
I would want one sleek. I don't care about weight. That's the man. The sexiest mic. I really do like that. The Lawton LS208. I'd probably take that out. That's a nice mic.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's a nice mic.
I'm trying to find. There's a mic that I would date. I'm trying to find.
The video's not out for the LS208 yet. I've got a couple videos already done and kind of in the coffer for taking care of some things throughout the summer. Like, I'm trying to build up so I can go on holidays and not miss a beat. and that's part of the process. And I also have more Lawton audio content on the way. So I'm trying to space it out, but I'm also at the same time trying to get through this road thing without popping a brain cell. And if I need extra time, yeah, we're falling way behind. You think about what mic you'd want to date. You look at all the profiles there.
I would date the Violet Flamingo Junior.
Oh yeah. That's a sexy mic.
I'm going the Violet Designs, man. They got some of the snazziest looking mics.
Haven't heard one for the life of me, but they look.
No, that's
really
it. I know they're used by they're expensive mics. They're used by several bigger artists, mainly in the hip hop space. But they're interesting mics. I definitely at some point I want to buy one. I want to try one out.
Okay, so James Radio Man, your thoughts on the SC Electronics V7 dynamic microphone? It's good. It's bright. It's got some sibilance to it. So if you're sibilant, very, very articulate mic.
Yep.
So I prefer a little bit more balance. I prefer the SM58. There is more balance in an SM58.
There's just I don't know. It's more useful because it's not as like sharply colored,
shimmery.
Yeah, it's not as sharply colored. It's very neutral to 58, which is what's kind of nice about it.
All right, so
other than a presence boost.
Tell you what, guys, we're way behind on comments. So if you want to get something through to me, just at Dark Corner Studios. So I see that little yellow tag. I'm going to try to muddle through a few of the comments here, but I might miss some.
I was going to say, you keep going. I'll just, while you're talking, I'll just scan through and I'll find anything that maybe we need to grab onto.
Okay, all right. Benjamin Acer T. About StreamerX, what I wanted to know is I was looking into something like that on StreamerX. Can you use the HDMI in from PS5 and through out to TV and then add as well a camera to it? No, you cannot. It's one video signal, man. That's the one thing about the StreamerX is it's one video signal. That's all you get. So when you're using your PS5, you're not going to be able to add on anything unless you're running into a computer and adding an extra video signal that way. So there's no way to put a second video signal into the Streamer X right now. Well, I don't think there ever will be because it's only one HDMI input, and I don't think you can split that. So, yeah, sorry, buddy. Walter, 2 HDMI ins would have been perfect. One pass through. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think that's coming. Again, I think this is like, we don't want to put all our eggs in a basket that's going to break.
And the majority of streamers on computer, at least gamers on PC, only need one video input. That's the majority of them only need that. So, and I think they're covering that market, seeing how the market uptick is going to be, how people are going to buy into the system, and then from there, the Rodecaster Pro Streamer X, like that, the Rodecaster Streamer X, or something like that, where you could literally put a 3 or 4 person podcast with their own cameras, right? Like
that'd be cool.
I know
and then,
a ton of people.
As soon as you unmute someone's mic, the corresponding camera also flips to frame. That would be cool.
Like you could have a full-on audio producer running your show. It would be awesome. And you could, I don't know. I think there's a lot of room for growth. And the fact that they're opening up their ecosystem to video is just telling you that this is where we want to go. We want to be the full-on content creator, Apple of audio. And literally, every time I say that, I'm talking about they're kind of building their company the way Apple did, very ecosystem based. And they prove me right every time because they have a new product that just blows everyone away. The sheen on this is so good. Like they've really buffed out all the issues with this. It's simple. They've got the preamps they're running with. They've got all those things that they're just like, okay, well, just put our Revolution preamps in there and it'll be fine. And they're right, because the Revolution preamps are very good. The Rode PodMic, which I just did a review of, where is it? The PodMic USB. That's coming out Monday. The preamp in this is the same preamp as the Streamer X and the Rodecaster Pro. They've literally got all of these little things in their ecosystem that they can just slap into anything. And that's exactly what Apple does. So it's really cool to see. But yeah, taking over the world is one way to put it. David, from Aiden's review, I think Rode has really done something worthwhile. Let's see who follows up with and what they'll do next. I haven't seen many other reviews of the Streamer X. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know I think the first on YouTube to live stream with it, pretty sure I was the first review out. If I'm wrong, let me know. But has anyone else seen any other reviews of the Streamer X? I haven't been watching for them, but I do a little bit of research while I'm kind of, because I've got another video coming out for little kind of fun things you can do with this thing and that kind of stuff, like more so than just the voice changers.
Like this kind of stuff.
Nice.
I do. By the way, this one, who is this for? Who is this?
That said.
Oh, it's Ken.
That said.
This is the Ken button.
That said.
Because I keep saying that said in my videos, apparently.
Ergo, therefore, you just start swapping it out with various other annoying phrases that people hate.
When I write my scripts, I don't put any of those crutch words in.
Having said that,
but I don't put any of those crutch words in. I don't write them in. I do it on the fly, which is kind of what makes it sound less like it's being read off of a teleprompter and more that it's coming from me as I say it. The problem is crutch words, if you've ever been in broadcast, Dylan has, he knows what that is, are the things that your brain will instantly go to because it's what you know. And breaking crutch words can be really tough. And I think I need to start writing some of them into my scripts.
Honestly, you know, like for me with scripting, I found, and this is so obvious to anyone that's done voiceover, but and I, you know, have known this for a long time, but it's hard.
It is.
Is you gotta have like a brain buffer of like 10 words.
Yeah, mine's at about 4 to 5. So
yeah, I can, if I'm in my prime, I can operate at about 4 to 5. Yeah, where I'm 4 to. So what we're talking about is I'm 4 to 5 words ahead visually where I am reading. So what I'm saying is 4 to 5 words ahead of or behind where my eyes are, and that gives you a good kind of ability to figure out the sentence flow before you say it. Because that can be really awkward if you're literally reading with the word, which if you're not used to talking out loud and reading professionally, that's how most people read, is they're reading the word they're saying.
Well, it's the emotion behind it too, right? Like so I edit for Minds of Madness, and I know he does not read ahead. He reads as he goes. And when you hear his script, when I'm tightening up his script, you can hear where he'll literally stop for a second and he'll read ahead, and then he'll begin reading it. And it's his brain's way of just grabbing the emotion, grabbing the context of what he's saying, and then he says it. But for a reader who's script after script after script after script, you can be, and like you said, 10 words ahead when you're reading it. That is like high-end, somebody that's probably like a Linus Tech Tips. $9.95 in New Zealand, which is $600 US. Mike, yeah, New Zealand is going to be tough because you're on the other side of the world of everyone else. I appreciate that. There's going to be like shipping costs all molded into the price of that. So it's rough. David?
But wait, I mean, so New Zealand, I mean, that's right by Australia. Yeah. Which is right by where Road is.
That's true. I keep thinking from a North American perspective. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe.
So if anything, it would be cheaper because it's not going as far.
That's a good point. I wonder. Yeah. Maybe it's just they don't like people from New Zealand. I don't know.
At first you said New Zealand, and in my head I heard Netherlands for some reason, and then I clued in. I'm like, wait a minute.
I may have said that. All right, so I'm coming down.
No, you said New Zealand. I just was half-assing it in my head.
I just worked out before this live stream. Like we went to the gym and did like an hour and a half of really high intensity cardio. So I'm a little like lightheaded.
Looper.
So we're going to go to a few of the tagged. We're going to catch right up. So I apologize if I'm missing any of your messages. If I miss a message or a question that you really want me to get, just tag me in it at Dark Corner Studios, and I'll get it from here on out. Walter, Jeanette, Road will definitely come from Blackmagic because their audio solutions suck. It just seems real Apple-ish where they're competing against themselves at this point. Yeah, Walter, you're right. Like, Rode is basically cannibalizing their own lineup. Like, with the Rodecaster Duo is going to make a lot of people that were saving for a Rodecaster Pro 2 just go, oh, I can get the cheaper one. So in a way, they're not competing with anyone. They're literally filling out the market and making it impossible for anyone to compete with them. Mackie tried. I haven't been hands-on. I do know that Mackie it's a decent unit, but it doesn't meet Rode nose to nose in the end, but that's okay. It doesn't have to beat Rode. It has to be in the same market. You want competition, right? When you're looking at, as a consumer or reviewer, the competition is what drives better research and development. So the more something is researched and brought out that's better than the next, it's going to kind of raise the level for everyone and bring down the prices. Because as soon as you have three things in the market that do the same thing, prices come down as competition ramps up. And that's not something we have with Rode right now. And that's okay. I don't think Rode stuff is egregiously priced. When you actually look at what you can get out of a Rodecaster Pro 2, get out of the Streamer X, and I said this in the video, go ahead and add up all the things you need to do to get what you can get out of the Streamer X and tell me if you're spending less money. You are probably not. Not unless you're getting the Amazon basics of everything. But once again, this is a premium product, and it has premium preamps. It has premium everything. It has 4K 60 through, right? 4K 60 with HDR support through. There's so much here that it's really hard to argue with the price when you look at what you can get. But I do also know what it feels like to be broke and not be able to afford things and be frustrated with companies, to be fair. And holy crap, the idea of catching up with any kind of chat right now is impossible.
Somebody tagged at me. Sean tagged at me, so I'll just address that while we're talking about it. So on the topic of, he wonders what I have to say about the build quality of some of these new products and whether or not they'll hold up over time. It's a good question, and it's something that does occur to me a lot because, I don't know, I'm a fan of buying stuff that will last you a long time, hopefully your whole life, ideally, or longer. But so what I would say is Rode, I have faith in Rode's. I've looked at Rode's build quality, not of all of these new products in particular, but just overall. And I think for the most part, Rode is pretty good.
Yeah,
for their build quality. Even their build quality, their merch is pretty respectable, which is hilarious. But I would say Rode's a kind of a prosumer professional product space kind of a company. So they're going to make it good. But if you're buying into and I hate to throw them under the bus here, but PreSonus stuff or ART stuff or Apex stuff, I would be worried because as much as I think the bigger companies are finding out how to make products that are better, the smaller companies that are selling for cheaper have a vested interest in making you buy something sooner.
Yes, but there's also another part to this, Dylan. A Scarlett 2i2 Gen 2 is built like a tank. You can throw that off the side of a building and it'll probably still work after. So what good is the Scarlett 2i2 here? Scarlett 2i2 isn't going to be good for life, right? Exactly. Those things are built like beasts, and you would want the Scarlett 2i2 3rd gen over the 2nd gen because better preamps, better this, better that. So there is a part of it, if you buy a Neve preamp, you want it to last your whole life or at least 20, 25 years. But with a lot of these products, I mean, we're going to be getting into, we're talking about 4K game streaming. What's the next point up? When do you have the Rodecaster Pro? While it's still a great unit, is kind of diminished greatly by the Rodecaster Pro 2. So as we develop forward, it's becoming more of a phone kind of issue, right? A 6-year-old iPhone will still work. It'll work great. But will it do the things that we want our phones to do in 2023? No, not even close.
Well, that's it. And I think as a general rule, I mean, schematics of analog audio hardware. So when I talk about analog audio hardware, I include interfaces in that because interfaces have a large analog component to them.
Yeah.
They have to have microphone preamps right there. That's an analog mess. And so what I would say is, for the most part, hardware schematic designs for good quality audio circuits haven't changed much. And I'm talking about, you compare a Neve 1081 preamp strip with, a modern day Avid MBox 3rd gen Pro or something. And they're going to be fairly similar circuits. They will modify a couple components maybe, and they'll slightly change the design. But, these are old designs, but when it comes to digital stuff, digital stuff is accelerating at an insane rate, especially now with the advent of AI.
Yep.
So much so that big tech companies are literally begging for regulation right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's the first and only time in Google's history where they've actually lobbied in favor of regulation.
Really quick, Walter says you and Take One Tech with Alec are the only ones so far. That's cool. Knowing that I had the first one out is really cool. I also want to. Walter also said the price point on Rode like ATEM will be crazy though, considering what Roland is already available and the fact that Streamer X is $399. We're easily looking at $12.99, hopefully $9.99. Here's the thing though. Yes, if Rode is the only one doing this in a year, if Rode is the only one with a video audio device in a year, yes, we're going to be paying that amount because there's nobody else here to do it. Like some people are like, oh, you should see the Roland one. The Roland one's great. They actually put it on there that it's a presentation only interface. And it's meant for doing slideshows for a corporate weekend or something like that. It's not meant for high-end audio, high-end video. It's 1080p. There's all these things. It's not meant for what you guys want it for. And yeah, I mean, Roland's got a great thing, but Roland's not going after the streamer market. If Zoom wanted to do something, the next product out by any of those other companies needs to be a multi-camera switcher, and it has to sound at least as good as the Rode. And that's the thing. If we start to see that, you're not going to be paying $12.99. You're not going to be paying $1,000 for a multi-camera switcher with an audio function. For some of the bigger units, 4 cameras, 4 preamps and all that stuff, yep, maybe, probably actually, because that's a lot of equipment. But as you see the market fill out with people trying to grab at it, you will notice the prices come down because they're trying to compete with each other. And you saw that with the first gen Rodecaster Pro when the Rodecaster came out, then the Mixcast 4 was $100 cheaper. Plus it included a DAW with it. You saw the Zoom PodTrack P8 come out at $100 cheaper. And that's literally what, if anybody had come close to Rode and actually challenged Rode by releasing a better product than them, the price would have come down once again. So it's, yeah, give it time. The market will definitely work itself out over time if you're willing to wait it out. If you're willing to not be the first one to own that product, it will come with time. Trust me. Sean, Dark Corner Studios, I can't see which microphone you're using. MKH416. This is the MKH416. I'm just moving back to it because it's nicer. Because in this small little box that I have, see this small box of room that I have here, putting a mic right here, it kind of, sucks. See, Dylan? Yeah, so MK, the only problem is I don't think in the Rode Streamer X setup in Rode, what do they call it? Rode Central, you can't turn off the oral exciter unless you turn off the big bottom. I guess I don't need either one of those.
So okay.
There we go.
What the fuck is an oral exciter?
So those are their EQ settings. So they've got an oral exciter for the top end for doing the high end frequencies, and then the
okay,
big
so like a
bottom's the
presence boost.
Yeah, and with the MKH416, you don't need that.
Like,
AURAL, you son of a! Come on, man.
No, that's not where I was going. I don't think we know what an exciter is.
Well,
an exciter is something that introduces low THD distortion into a signal. That's what an exciter is. So calling it an oral exciter, again, I'm a technical guy, so you use words improperly, I get confused.
Well, I mean, it is it is an old company. Aphex was the company they bought back 2015-ish.
Aphex, oh, nice. There's an old school company.
Yeah, and they bought that company, and that's the big bottom and the oral exciter were their products. So now they're part of this system.
Okay.
This is really important. Ken says, press the Ken button again.
That said,
there we go. That's the Ken button, in case you're wondering. Every time you do, I'll take a drink of Canada Dry Ginger Ale. 6 months sober now. Good for you, brother.
All right, Ken. All right, Aiden, one more time with the button.
That said.
There we go.
This is for you, Ken. That's for you, buddy.
There it is.
There you go.
6 months, brother. Good for you. That's really cool. Canadian whiskey and bourbon addiction was killing me. Yeah, that shit, Ryan Ginger.
That shit will kill you.
That shit will literally kill you. Good for you, brother. Happy to hear. I gave up a lot of carbs, so I know how you feel. Maybe not as much, but yeah.
Maybe. Nice.
Walter, Dark Horse Studios, I love complaining about first world problems. I don't care how much it costs. I'm buying it. You know what? And that's, it's never been cheap to be a streamer. It's never been cheap to be somebody that's entering the world of this. There are cheaper ways you can do things. There's cheaper ways you can stream. And it's okay to do that. You don't need the most expensive thing on the market to do the thing. I started out with this camera, which, by the way, by YouTube standards, this is a trash camera. This is a Canon T7i, which at the time cost me $1,300. I'm also a photographer. I've done a lot of stuff with cameras, and I really wanted something that I could do just a little bit of video with, and then I got into YouTube, and now I don't do any of that. It's just all video. And looking back, I would have been like, oh shit, maybe I should get something that's a little bit better suited for it. But I've upgraded the glass. I've upgraded the stuff. And it's constantly upgrading and building. If you're a streamer and you're looking to make money, the Streamer X isn't going to make you money. It's just going to simplify your setup. You learn how to do it, learn how to make money off of whatever you're doing, and buy the stuff. Or if you can afford it, just buy the stuff. It sucks sometimes that stuff is super expensive. I get that. But you don't have to own it. That's the thing about that I don't think a lot of people understand with this. Because the biggest complaint I've gotten off the last Rode release was the price. Everyone's like, well, the Rodecaster Duo shouldn't be that expensive. Why? No one else can do it. I mean, it can't be cheaper than the original Rodecaster Pro. It can't be cheaper than the original Mixcast 4. Of course it's going to be that price because you can't make it cheaper than something already on the market. I mean, that would be rude. They would pretty much put other companies out of business. But also, they spent the time and energy to develop this product. And that's not just a matter of somebody wakes up one day and goes, okay, print 30 of those. No, they actually have done a lot of money and work. And the initial startup price of a product for people that buy in early, that's you repaying the company for the work they just did. Research into it's the same reason CDs used to cost $30 a piece. Okay. Way back in the 90s, when you wanted that CD from the band when it first came out, it was never on sale. It was $30. And you had no choice. And you would spend the money gladly to get that CD. That's just what it's all about, man. It's research and development. And Rode, because they're doing all that R&D, they deserve whatever price tag they want to put on it. And I think they're still competitive. $399 for the Streamer X is a chunk of change, but so is like all the setup for doing everything else. I mean, it's not cheaper.
Well, that's it. Like, you got to compare it solution to solution. You can't be like, well, it's more. No, I'm not saying anybody's doing this, but like, hyperbole example. Well, it's, more expensive than a can opener. Why is that? It's like, well, I mean, don't look at it compared to can openers. Look at it compared to video streaming solutions. Like, they're all around, it seems like around that price point or way more expensive.
Ken, cheers.
That said.
Yeah, that's right. The Ken button, always here. Dimebag, sometimes stuff you buy fails. That's the one thing about Rode, and I want to confirm this, but I remember reading like lifetime guarantee on their stuff. If you own a Rode product and it breaks, you call Rode and they send you another one. Like, obviously, if you spill pop on it, they're not going to give you another unit.
Yeah.
But if one of my smart pads stops working, and I've done this every time something's broken, I've got some of these boom arms just kicking around. Okay. Every time there's like, oh, the boom arm's like having problems with it or this, that, I'll call them. They're like, okay, here's another one. And I don't call like the guy who sends me the new product. I call the Rode hotline, the not the technical, I forget what number it is, but I call them I email them and I say, hey guys, this broke. Can you get me another one? Yeah, sure. One's on the way. It's that simple. And that kind of peace of mind, if you call, give me another company, Mackie. Do you think Mackie is going to replace your product? Do you think PreSonus is? PreSonus made me wait for like 6 months. And then they begrudgingly said, okay, here's your power supply. You got to do it yourself though. Like, anyways.
But again, like, that's when, with these companies, when you pay a big number for something, that's what you pay for.
Yep. You pay for that support. Not all companies have that, Antelope. And not a lot of companies have figured out how to do that. Rode is just taking the no questions asked. They're like, okay, well, sometimes they're like, okay, send us the old product. But for the most part, they're like, okay, here's another one. So, and I think if you're like, hey, I need a new Rodecaster Pro, mine broke, they're going to ask for the old Rodecaster Pro back, just in case you're wondering. But yeah, like I've never had an issue reaching out as a consumer. And that in itself, like I was singing the praises of Rode way back 2 years ago when I compared the, I forget what it was, the boom arm and something else. Rode has always been awesome about everything from a consumer perspective. It's hard to get mad at a puppy dog, man. Like it really is. They're literally the puppy dog of the audio community. Ken, the new Canon R50 is a 1080 streaming via USB built right in. I do a 3-camera podcast with my son, all USB using OBS as a virtual camera on StreamYard with Rodecaster Pro 2 audio. Yeah, you know what? And that's the thing. Like Ken's right. Like you've got a lot of options that don't include Streamer X. So like it can be done. This isn't a product you necessarily need. That's really cool though. Doing a podcast with your son. That's kind of fun. My son wouldn't be caught dead doing a podcast with me. That's kind of fun. No. Okay. I think we caught up. This has been one of the busiest comment sections since Bangs was in on the podcast.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I would have
long
to say,
live Bangs.
Damn it! If you call Personas, then you'll be treated like shit. Yeah, you know what? I haven't bought anything from Personas since the AR8 debacle of 2019. And just because like you hang one of your customers out to dry, and I didn't like it. It's not like I had clout, and it's not like I would use that clout to get what I want, because that's not the point of it. Whenever I have technical issues, I 100% of the time go through like a consumer, because that's part of the process of owning something, especially like when I have an issue with the Rodecaster Pro. What did I do when I was doing the review and I was having some issues with, so the issue would be audio playing or the ASIO drivers not working while I had audio playing in a Chrome tab. I called them. And I didn't call them as like, my name's Aiden and I do a YouTube channel. I just say, hey man, I'm having a problem with the Rodecaster Pro 2. And they help me out and they fix it. That's like, you don't even have to pretend to be somebody big with them. It's kind of cool.
Well, and that's, again, these companies that know that they will stand by, they're like, you will invest in us and we will stand by our products with you. And you know, I don't know. It's to me, yeah. And PreSonus has good designs. Don't get me wrong. From a function standpoint, they've got good designs. PreSonus's issue is in support and quality control. That's where PreSonus's issue is, in my experience.
Yeah.
And in experiences of several other people I know.
I just saw one. Who is it? It was Trent, I believe. Where's that message? Trent sent one through. Liberty Dude, how's it going? Not worth it. I'm not sure what Liberty Dude's saying. Not worth it. I don't have audio for this.
Oh, maybe the Streamer X.
Oh yeah, I'm just not in love with the Rode X software. The Elgato software has the tenure. I'd like to see them catch up for sure. I don't really have much to say about the software because I'm not a streamer nerd. When it comes to like software integration into workflow, like looking at guys like Epos Vox, looking at guys that they have the stream, I forget what his name is. He's got about 10,000 subs and he's really good. An older fella that he does all streaming, making your stream look as great as he could. Those are the guys that I'd be looking for from to break down some of the software stuff, because I don't stream on a regular basis. It's not part of my workflow. I'm not going to come up with the best workflow possible for the streaming software. I know it works. I've used it. I really like Unify. I think Unify is a great option. Combined with Rode Central, you basically have a virtual Rodecaster Pro. Yeah, it's hard to argue with that. And then with the microphones to go along with it. And I don't know the Elgato solution either, so I really can't even like, well, Elgato sucks. But I do know that Rode has better integrated processing, like by a long shot. And they also have better preamps on their products by a long shot. So it's up to you. Like if workflow is a thing and the software is a thing, like I said, I need to up my game on software. I haven't bought a lot of Elgato products because they make me actually buy them, and I don't need $100 interface and $100 mic, and I still have the little Elgato Wave mic, but I should up my game on a lot of that stuff. David, I never tire of saying how good Rode were when they had problem with the mic, easy and quick, right? I've replaced my NT2A way back when I first bought it. I replaced it within like, it was like, they're like, okay, just take it to a Long and McQuaid and hand it in. And so I did that and they gave me a new one. I was like, holy shit, that was quick. Ken, I would take a 3 HDMI 4K input Streamer X in a heartbeat, though. I can only imagine the price. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to, like, I don't even want to, like, guesstimate price because there's so much from the market that goes into pricing of products. And one of those is competition. So in a year, it all depends. If nobody else meets Rode nose to nose, the price will be what the price is. If there's a lot of competition in the market, let's just put it this way. Rode has no reason to take a loss in any of their products. None. Zero reason. There's no one else that's going to be able to even compete close. So why would they take a loss? When you start like competing and you're really trying to move product, that's when companies are like, all right, we'll only get 2% off of each unit. So, and Rode has the upper hand because they also have their production house in-house. Like they produce it. They have drinking coffee, making Rodecaster Pro 2 bodies, right? Like this was built in Australia. This wasn't like farmed out. This was built in Australia. So it's a lot of that kind of stuff is the way that Rode's staying ahead of everyone else. I think they're the only audio company, the consumer prosumer audio company that has in-house design and in-house production, I would say.
Yep, it's true. Again, unless you start getting up into the professional, the Sennheiser world.
Yeah.
Then you're back into that. But I think Rode is one of the smaller companies. I mean, I could say something similar about Shure, but as far as the strides that the companies have made, Rode takes the cake.
I'm wondering when Shure finally decides to answer. Like the MV7 is one thing, and this is something that I went through with the pod mic. Like this is the first gen pod mic. Here we go. I wasn't overly impressed by the first gen pod mic. It was okay. It was fine. It was $100 mic. Price to performance is fine, but there was no wow. The new pod mic USB, there's many reasons this is an awesome mic. One is the USB, obviously. And the other one is that you now have the ability to plug this in and it's a little warmer of a mic. Just a little bit of a dead giveaway for the Monday video. It's a little bit warmer. It's not quite as sibilant. And you get the pop filter with it. And this is all the stride. They've made these kind of strides forward by doing their own production and all that stuff. And like, this has a preamp in it. It's the same thing that's on the Rodecaster Pro. That's hard to fight, man. Like when you have the Shure MV7 that sounds like garbage when it's through XLR, and then the USB's okay. Companies like Shure have a long ways to go to catch up. But I'm really curious if there's going to be a company that can catch up, it will be Shure. Like I'm sure of it. Sorry. Walter, I'm a tactical person myself. I love faders and buttons, which is why I can't wait for the Duo, but love hate with the Streamer X. I want to know at some point, and I've received so many questions about this, if there's going to be a way to integrate the Streamer X with the Rodecaster Pro. So if there's a way that you can have it almost like a fifth channel. I'm not going to try it because it's bus powered. So I don't think there's bus power on the back of the Rodecaster. No, so the two, let's get that in shot. Two here, it's over here. There it is. Two. There's no power coming out of that. It's not going to power a device. It's an input output, but it's not going to power. Now you could power the Streamer X with its own power, but I don't know. I'm kind of curious to see what would happen, but I don't think I'm going to try it without talking to Rode first. That would be really cool. I think.
But what if they were integratable, like through the software, like through the host, through the computer?
Yeah.
Not connecting them to one another, but integrating them together in a mesh network through the Rode.
But they all kind of already kind of do that with Unify. Like you kind of do that.
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
So I feel like before they would find some physical hardware way to connect them together, which seems unnecessary, they would just ramp up the communication between the two through the software.
Yeah. Well, you could just plug one into the other, plug one into your computer, so you don't have multiple devices going into your computer. But then multiple devices going into your computer isn't necessarily a bad thing either.
No, because you have some redundancy.
Yeah, you also have you can start to assign shit to like the Streamer X. So if you're streaming, there's your input for your Streamer X, and then all your other audio can go through your Rodecaster Pro and like that kind of stuff. That opens up a great big old
maybe that's what Rode is planning. Instead of like, we're assuming in the Streamer lineup they're gonna make more like larger Streamer X's. Maybe Streamer X is supposed to be kind of like the mini hub, and they're gonna release other sort of peripheral components of the Streamer setup. Like maybe, Jesus, could you imagine they release their own like actual cameras?
Yeah, no, I could. You know what? At this point, I could see it.
I could see it too. That's the thing. So this might be like a peripheral system. Instead of being like, okay, we're going to keep creating different, it's like, no, you buy all these different pieces. It's not peripheral, modular. That's the word I'm looking for. Maybe they're creating like a modular system that uses the software as the host.
Yeah. This is interesting. Walter says, Shure's only answer to Rode is to drop the price of the SM7B. What else can they do? So, this is the one kind of, I think it's the one kind of blank spot in Rode's lineup is the SM7B tier microphone. You can do a lot, like the pod mic sounds great with the AFX. You can do a lot with the AFX processing, but they don't have a microphone in their lineup that head-to-head fights the SM7B. The Procaster, I think they had the Broadcaster. All of those were okay mics, but they didn't really didn't blow anyone away like an SM7B or really. Do you think that might be one of the, could you imagine they released their own SM7B killer? Which is hard to do because the SM7B is not exactly the profile you go for. Like you see a lot of these mics that are going for really present, big bottom. They're going for a lot of these really animated sound profiles. And then the SM7B's flat, flat as it can be. I don't know. But in the price point, at least, there really isn't anything in that price point from Rode. The $399 price point US. Do you think it would be worthwhile or just let SM7B eat their cake? Come on.
Yeah, Sean just opened a can of worms.
Oh, no. Sean always opens up cans of worms. What did he say? We need to ask Dylan.
He's not wrong, though. He's not wrong.
Nice.
It's one of the reasons why. And so not in terms of necessarily the amount of money that's gone into here, although there's well over $100,000 in here at this point.
Yeah.
But just in terms of the configuration, this room that I'm in is configured like a professional studio. Patch bays, lots of input outputs of many different pieces of rack equipment just scattered around. And so, this is one of the reasons I don't have a USB mic, because what the fuck? I've got like a 20 input, 20 output interface. Why the hell would I want a USB? What am I going to use a USB mic for? Oh, you're right. I have to switch audio engines and start using that as the interface instead of the $3,000 converters. Because that makes a ton of sense. But so when we're looking at these kinds of products, these have a very narrow, a very potent and a very lucrative, but a narrow market segment. I mean, you're not going to find a recording studio with Streamer X unless that's a studio that maybe has part-time. And, Aiden, you and I were recently talking to a guy that runs a studio, and studios are having to branch out a little bit in terms of what the kind of stuff they do, because just recording bands doesn't make money anymore.
Nope.
And just recording voiceovers doesn't make money anymore. Why? Because people just do it at their houses.
Yep.
And so these studios have to start doing other things like offering up their space for video shoots.
Yeah.
Offering up their space for maybe things like streaming. So in that sense, studios will find a way to integrate. There are several things that I had to find ways to integrate into this rig for function. And I've found a setup that might not be super conventional in some respects in terms of where everything is in the chain. Like, for example, I have a board. The board functions as an input center. The board, the speakers, the output system doesn't go through the board at all. The board is just for throwing around input sources. Which traditionally in a studio, everything connects to the board, but it's a shitty board, so I don't want to connect everything to it. But I think that is a good point in that professional spaces in how they're wired, which quite honestly, recording studios, unlike broadcast studios can integrate this stuff pretty easily. Like I look at the video systems we use in our master control studios for radio for recording social media. Like we're talking multi-camera 8K setups in each of these rooms. And the system is very fluid. And is really easy to use. I mean, it has to be because it's being used by on-air people. And not that on-air people are stupid, but on-air people are doing a ton of shit at once. So having complicated things to worry about when you're doing 16 other things is not helpful.
No, audio people are super smart.
But we're just capping off with recording studios. Recording studios are still wired like we're in the 70s.
Yeah.
As far as the broadcast world is concerned, recording studios never really changed. They have
it's
in
like
the sense of
$200,000
like
for a change. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Where's the overhead for that?
What's that?
Where's the overhead for that? Right? Like,
yeah, that's it. And so, you know, studios in different applications, I think broadcasters having, you know, being someone who works for a broadcaster, I can speak to it. Broadcast systems are very modern and very sophisticated, at least in the larger, you know, big conglomerate circles, right? I mean, if you go to some tiny station in Edson, Alberta, they're probably still going to have a completely analog shop, and they're going to be using some old DOS-based traffic scheduling software, you know, because there's no budget in those places. But for the big companies, like if you're in the States, iHeart Communications, most of their big market stations are going to be quite well equipped.
Yeah. Well, even the Canadian ones are.
Yeah. Again, our stations here in the 4-station cluster I work at here in Ottawa, it's an analog shop, but it's been integrated with digital. So there's BIX blocks that go between each room, which is actually kind of genius. And then they have sort of a master BIX array in the engineering wing that you use to crimp connections together. But then everything that connects to those analog BIX blocks are all like Axia nodes and like WheatNet nodes. So everything is digital. Everything is IP or AES 67. Everything is Livewire. That's the broadcast world now, which annoys me as a quality person because I have some issues with the quality of audio over Livewire. But broadcast is about flexibility, not necessarily quality.
Well, I do know that Toronto Bell stations are still all analog, mostly analog.
I have opinions on Bell.
We're not gonna.
I've seen Bell transmitter sites. Okay, they still have PLCs.
Yeah.
That are controlling their rigs, and I'm like, okay, so we're in 1982. Do you have a Commodore connected to that PLC too? Right. Is that like? I don't know. It's funny to me.
Walter, I'm gonna finish this up. We're at 6 o'clock. We got a little bit of extra time here, and then. So Walter says, I have this dark fantasy that Rode will release a firmware update to allow you to connect a USB camera to the Streamer X. I will have to say, looking at the back, there's 2 USB ports. There's 1 and 2. So they say, it's for a two computer setup. How many people with only one camera, one that are running 2 computer setups? There's a lot you can do with that extra USB. I would be surprised if they didn't.
So I could see somebody, especially in a streaming scenario, and I've seen this, where you have one system for your game streaming, and it's specifically designed for game streaming, and then the actual stream stuff is on a completely separate rig, so that there's a little redundancy in case one rig gets a little overloaded. Not redundancy, but there's some robustness to that setup. You're not having any of the streaming related processing or activities impede the gaming performance.
Well, what's interesting though is a lot of the newer cameras are coming out with USB outs for webcam usage, so you can get mirrorless cameras that it's not an HDMI out, it's a USB out. So
I kind of like that.
There is an option. Maybe that's something in the future where all of a sudden you have a 2-camera switcher. How many more cameras do you need on a $399 unit? Like 2, I think is like that would if they release that would be utterly fantastic.
Well, and the other thing too is like I'm thinking of streamers, and I'm thinking of streams that I've seen specifically for gaming, but obviously other situations would be easier. I'm like, okay, how many angles, like how many useful camera angles can I see you needing? Like maybe 3, maybe. Yeah, like a room and even that, I'm like, that's angles. Insane. You're sitting in one place.
Yeah,
you're not moving, and what is behind the camera probably looks like shit. So like so I can't see, but again, in like a panel stream or like a
Yeah.
a Good Mythical Morning type stream, I could see multiple cameras for sure in those kinds of setups. Obviously.
Ken, do you see a world where Elgato gets into the Rode type market with an all-in-one streaming gadgets like Streamer X? Yeah, Elgato would, like, and Elgato's got the capital for that. The problem, once again, though, Elgato's like everybody else who sources out the build. They source out all of that stuff, and Rode is doing it like in their backyard, right? Rode's just like, throw it in the stamper and we'll make ourselves one. So they can prototype immediately. Rode just needs like some plans, prototype, and they've got it in hand. They're not sending it away to another country to have production done to send it back so they can have a prototype to work on. They literally just like, what do you want to try today, Ken? All right, sipping their coffee, building stuff, right? I'm pretty sure it's not as loosey-goosey as that, but that's a huge benefit. Whether or not Elgato can catch up, they have the market capital to do it. Elgato's huge, right? They're owned by Corsair, right? Yeah, Corsair is a big company. So I could honestly see them being.
They've certainly gotten a lot bigger since I first started investing in them. That's for sure.
I just bought. So I'm Logitech over Corsair. I buy Logitech peripherals. I have a Corsair mouse though that I'm kind of dead set on for editing. I just bought the new flagship keyboard, the G815, I think it is. I didn't get the wireless 915. Do you realize how much keyboards cost now, Dylan?
So like computer keyboards?
Yeah.
I mean, the one I'm using, which granted I bought a while ago, was $300.
What was it?
It was a Corsair K95 RGB.
So I bought the I forget what it was. Where is that keyboard? It's around here. Oh, it's way over there.
I will say I did buy a decent little Logitech wireless keyboard for work recently, and it was like $40. It was dirt cheap.
Yeah, I wanted a clicky. I like clicky.
Yeah. I like the mechanical. I just got it for something at the office.
It was close to $300 for it. And I bought my old flagship Logitech, the 905 or 9 something like that. I bought that thing for $130 like 7 years ago. And it's just like the delete button was gone. I lost the delete button. So I'm like, I guess I use the delete button so much in Premiere Pro. Delete for ripple delete.
I'm very sad like you. So I'm very attached to my K95. It's me and this baby, me and this girl have been through a lot of shit together. But the one thing that I know I'm not going to get easily in any modern keyboard that I've really seen is 18 macro keys. Yeah. I don't know where the hell I'm gonna find that again.
See,
Logitech, so I'm really sad when this keyboard dies that I'm gonna lose those 18 macro keys.
Logitech has how many profiles do you use? Out of those 18, it's 3 profiles?
No. Those are, again, they're macro keys. So every profile has a different set of 18.
No, I know. Oh, it's a different set of 18 for each profile. Okay. So
yeah. So most of the programs. So for Pro Tools, for example, I use 3 different profiles for Pro Tools that automatically it switches to. For Office, each program I have one profile for. Then I have a sort of a default profile. I've got some Adobe profiles. Got a lot of profiles.
Nice. Yeah.
And again, each one, especially Pro Tools, I've got 3 different profiles. So that gives me 36, 50. That's a lot of macro keys.
A lot of math. That's what it gives you. And that's the thing, right? Like I use some macro keys, but I'm not macro driven. I use a lot of mouse. So like everything's on my mouse instead of keyboard, but I am getting really used to keyboard shortcuts. And like
I've always been a big. I have a mouse too. There's not like a bajillion buttons on it, but I do use that. I have both mouse and keyboard going for.
Nice.
Yeah. I should record a video of me working during the day. I'm just like flying around. Like people are like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
I've thought about going the Terran way and getting the Stream Deck and using the Stream Deck as like just a macro hub. I'm not there yet. But I really want to get a workflow because like I've gotten really good at pre-editing the podcasts that I do. And I'm getting them done in like 6 hours now when it used to take me 24. And a lot of that is like just workflow and finding the buttons, making sure I got the right buttons and where it's at. So just a couple more here. They have the Procast, but who compete with the fame of the SM7B? Even Shure can't because they released the MV7 and it won't even touch it. Walter, I see Rode competing more with the likes of the RA20 versus SM7B. They admitted defeat by creating their own preset for it on the RCP2. I don't know if Rode, it's no shot at Rode. It's more of a shot at the people that buy an SM7B. Like podcasters who bought an SM7B hoping they were going to give them that big, meaty sound out of it, and they just got this trail of audio that came out of it because they didn't have the gain, they didn't have the post-processing to do a live podcast with it. And Rode,
well, that's it. Like, again, I say this, people hate on the SM7. It's my daily driver, man.
Yeah.
Like, I use this thing for voiceovers daily, and I regularly get compliments about how good my VO sounds. Now, is it processed shit? Absolutely. So yeah, you can't really, there's not a ton of things that I have found the SM7B is useful for without tweaking. But then again, I'm an audio engineer, so I tweak everything. That's my role. My role is tweaking sounds. I never just take something just as it is.
Dylan, do you have a Stream Deck? Liberty Dude wants to know.
I do not. I do not, and I probably wouldn't need one because the only streaming I do is this, and Aiden controls most of the things for the live stream, so I'm not sure me having a Stream Deck would be valuable.
This is the whole stream. I never change scenes, and I want to. I would love to get more of a WAN show vibe to this. We live in the same city, man.
Yeah, we totally could.
But it's like Fridays are one of two things. They're either my day to completely decompress and then do a live stream, or days like today where busy as all hell, just barely get the gym in, get to the live stream, and I'm going to collapse after I'm done. It's one of those two. It's never in between. So I think it would have to be something that I could, but yeah, doing a WAN show setup would be kind of fun. We get that table too. We'll literally copy the WAN show for everything, background, and then I'll get a Stream Deck, okay?
I have a stupid question. So we just talking about Corsair and Elgato. So circling back to that.
All right.
So one thing I've always said about Corsair, and I'm sitting here getting infuriated because it's still not a thing. And one thing I've always said about Corsair is they should make just a macro pad, a Stream Deck kind of thing. And I'm like, why not? And then it just hit me well, they own Elgato. Elgato has all that. So does Elgato's stuff use IQ, Corsair's flagship sort of utility software? Is that what he uses? Because if so, I'm just gonna buy a bunch of Elgato shit.
I don't think so.
There's gotta be a way. I think I just saw a thing on their website that was how do you integrate the Stream Deck and the K95? And I'm like, oh, that's exactly the keyboard I have. Perfect.
Yeah, so integrating from IQ is for IQ for doing macros and stuff. I'm not exactly
and key
sure.
remapping and shit.
That's a good question for chat. But I don't I've never used a Stream Deck
or a Corsair product, probably.
No, I Corsair mic or Corsair mouse. I've always preferred the Logitech keyboards. I don't know why. I've tried the K series Corsair. It's nice, but I've always just preferred the Logitech. I don't know why. Maybe it's just what I started with. Anyways, what about Rode Video Mic Go 2? No idea, Benjamin. I'm still on the Video Mic Go 1, which has been my scratch mic since day one on this channel. It sits above my and that's what I synchronize all my audio with. So because my camera sits inside of a teleprompter. So, anyways, I'm getting out of here. Have yourselves a great day. We'll be back here next Friday, and lots of new stuff coming. So stay tuned for that. So have a great weekend, guys.